Hello and welcome to Talk Time Nigeria, viewers television news commentary program that focuses on the major headlines in Nigeria and especially how it affects you. I am Ayuba Ilya, and on the program today I have with me the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu. I'm sure most of you are aware of who he is. We are going to be asking him questions on some of the strides that government have made regarding security and the fight against corruption. You're welcome on the program, sir.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yes. So first one of the things that many Nigerians are concerned about in this administration is the issue of security and how government is doing everything to, tackle the issue of security. There have been public outcry for a rejig of the service chiefs. Could you please react? What do we expect, as Nigerians expect a new set of leaders?
Okay, let me begin by saying that there are security issues in Nigeria, but there have always been security issues with Nigeria. There is no country anywhere in the world that is crime-free. Challenges would come, and the way governments should be judged is how are they able to respond to those challenges. When President Buhari came into office, the big issue on the table concerning security was the Boko Haram terrorism, which had cut a territory out of the Nigerian space and had created a caliphate with the flag and the system of administration. So two countries in one, in effect. As we speak now, that has been demolished. Boko Haram controls no territory that belongs to this country, but they have resorted to suicide bombing on innocent targets, targeting churches, mosques, market, and motor parks and places where innocent people are. So in effect, there has been a successful pushback against Boko Haram. And Boko Haram is now confined to the fringes of the Lake Chad, border Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad and Niger, and even that the multinational joint task force is being, is active against them, and we are hoping that in a matter of time, these two will be vanquished. New challenges had arisen with the clashes between farmers and herders, particularly in the Middle Belt section of the country, and as you will have noticed, of course, much of that has gone away also. Plateau is largely calm, Benue largely calm, Nasarawa, these were the epicenters. Again, the new challenge now that come to confront the country is the issue of banditry and cattle rustling, and of course kidnapping for ransom. So again, this one is also being tackled. Our security agencies are working day and night to ensure that the country is safe. They had caused a lot of destabilization in a number of states. Kaduna state, particularly on Abuja-Kaduna Road, around Birni-Gwari area. In Katsina, a number of local council areas bordering Zamfara had also been destabilized. Zamfara had remained the epicenter with consequences obviously for Sokoto, Niger, and other neighboring states. However, as it is, all of that again is we're closing in upon all of them. And Katsina is largely rid of this problem now. All of the IDP camps have been closed down except just one. People are going back to their communities and their farmland. Zamfara, people are going back to their farms, so we are succeeding. You asked a question about, and again I will say before I end this line, that you don't hardly do you hear of Birnin Gwari these days now in the news, because calm has been restored. Kidnapping on Kaduna Abuja road has been rid of. The road has been rid of all of that now. So we are succeeding. The issue of agitation for removal of service chiefs and their change, people are just interloping. I think that if the president happens to be an army general who had commanded troops in war front and in peacetime, he should be given the credit of knowing what to do about leadership of security agencies.
All right. No.
And so therefore he will decide eventually when it is time for them to go.
Okay, so but can we get your reactions on a statement credited to the Chief of Army Staff, where he said that there seemed to be a lack of commitment on the part of soldiers at the front fighting Boko Haram? Do you think that it has to do with anything with leadership of the Nigerian military?
I think that he has clarified that statement also. And from my own understanding, I think General Burata was addressing the issue of cowardice. And he seemed to be saying that they realize that there are some cowards who are out there in the war front, and they will fish them out and remove them. And this shouldn't surprise anyone, because, for many young people who, it takes more than just a WAEC or university certificate to enter the army. Because when you go in there, you know that, yes, in peacetime, you can be in the office, in the barrack and do nothing. But if there is a war going on, you are deployable to the front.
Now, there are some...
You're going to fight.
Okay. Now, there are some analysts that have attributed this lack of commitment to the fact that in the recruitment of military personnel, in most cases, it is highly politicized, and then sometimes people with the passion and the zeal to serve in those areas are not given the opportunity, but it's based on, the connections and all of that. Do you think that that could be responsible for this lack of...
I think if they have evidence of that, they should present it. To the best of my knowledge, I know that the military processes are rigorous and tough. People have run away from military training because they cannot cope with the rigors of what is required. So if there are shortcuts to it, I don't know. And I think that the best anybody can do as a patriotic citizen is, if they have evidence of standards being compromised, then they should present it to the public. We have a president who will not tolerate this kind of nonsense. And I believe that if he should get to the knowledge of President Muhammadu Buhari that corners are being cut and the right things are not being done, he will not accept that.
All right, now let me take you on the issue of corruption. Recently, the president signed into law the Mutual Agreement Assistance in Criminal Matters Act. Can you just, give us a hint on how that will aid the fight against corruption?
In many parts of the world, they are recognized safe havens for stolen assets. But there are also countries that are very decent countries which systems are being taken advantage of by crooks and dishonest people from countries such as our own. And then they go and use those systems, they will go and hide assets. And because we don't have agreements for repatriation of criminals and of assets that are abroad, you see them, you know them. I mean, take for instance the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, South Africa. There are a lot of Nigerians who had served in government, who had misappropriated public property and funds, and they had smuggled those funds outside, and they had invested in property and in the banking systems in those countries. So you need the government to be empowered by legislation, government to be in a position to enter agreements and execute them, as we have signed with UAE, so that if there are people we want to put on trial in Nigeria and are safely hiding themselves in those countries, those governments will bring them back to Nigeria and they will face trial. if there are hidden assets that belong to the Nigerian public, it will be possible that we follow the judicial system in those countries, or they allow our processes, to ensure that the repatriation is effected. It is important, so long as Nigerians are able to steal money and go and hide it abroad and run from our justice system, corruption cannot be successfully fought. And this is what...
At the middle of it all, in the issue of fight against corruption, of course, President Muhammadu Buhari is considered to be someone with credibility and all of that. In the asset declaration that was released some time ago, it was said that not much significant changes have been made in his owner declaration. Can you clarify us on that?
What this means is that he hadn't acquired any new assets in form of buildings or new bank accounts that outside maybe salary earnings, which go into his only bank account. He has not opened any new bank accounts. So the truth is that quite unlike many who go into government with a view to enriching themselves, President Muhammadu Buhari represents a direct opposite of that. He is not self-enriching, and that he has kept his oath of office to be honest and to not get involved in matters that run counter to the oath that he has sworn to.
All right. At this point, we'll bring it to a close. We thank you so much for your time, Mr. Garba Shehu, on responding to all of our questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. Have a nice day.
All right, viewer, that has been the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, giving us his thoughts on some of the strides that government is making in ensuring that we fight against insecurity and the fight against corruption. This is Talk Time Nigeria. Until we see next time, for now, I say goodbye. I am Ayub India.